Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. Today we're talking Week 12 in the NFL. This is part 2 of our episode. So if you haven't listened to the other 6 games we talked about, go check out Monday's episode. This one we're going to start with Dolphins-Jets. Dolphins win 20-3, pretty predictable on this one. Dolphins go 7-4. Jets are now 0-11. So Ryan Fitzpatrick got the start for the injured Tua today, and he was, solid. He played like Ryan Fitzpatrick I thought would. 257, 2 touchdowns. And so actually in one of my leagues, I actually started both Devontae Parker and Mike Gesicki, just thinking Ryan Fitzpatrick would be better for them. And I think he was. Gesicki only had the 2 catches, but one of them was a touchdown, thank God. But Parker 8 for 119. Like, Ryan Fitzpatrick is such a better quarterback for Devontae Parker. It's not even close, but that's not going to happen. If Tua's healthy next week, Tua's in. That's what it's going to be. So Parker will go back to probably more limited work. So I guess the story of this one is the running game. So you had no Salvin Ahmad this week again, still no Gaskin, none of these other guys. And Matt Breida still cannot get the workload. Still. This time it goes to DeAndre Washington, who they just picked up. So
I don't understand it either, because I feel bad for the guy. Because even in a couple of them, I needed people to fill in, and you start hearing about these injuries or COVID cases, right? Like Benny Snell is all of a sudden going to be the starter. Breida is going to be the starter. Pick a few of those up, throw them into your lineup. But Matt Breida, I mean, he didn't look that bad either. I mean, 8 for 36, 4.5 yards per carry. He had one for a 12-yard gain. But he still got outpaced by DeAndre Washington. He was 13 carries, so 5 more carries. He turned it into 49 yards, so also decent. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know why the deal is on that one. And even more so is like, you think, okay, well, maybe he gets a bigger chunk of the receiving game. But no, they both got 2 catches apiece, turned it into, about 15 yards each, whatever it may be. Yeah, it just
never got a shot this year.
No, and it's crazy too with Gaskin kind of having that stranglehold over it. You think that it would be wide open for the taking, but they decided to go to the two-headed beast of Washington. I don't know. It was a kind of a shocking one. It kind of shows you they have no plans for Breida whatsoever.
No, not really. They just don't. For the Jets, ugly. Darnold was not good. Threw for 197 and 2 picks. Frank Gore, I guess, at 86 total yards. He's still just I don't think he's been just as good as he is right now for the last how many years now? 10 years. He just is the same guy. It's crazy what he just continues to do. Rashad Perriman got 4 for 79, and Mims was 4 for 67. Crowder 3 for 31. Just not a good team.
No, I never thought I would get to the point where I would be wishing that I could watch Flacco play.
God.
Sam Darnold, bless his heart, but man, he is just not getting it done.
Nope. All right, how about Browns and Jaguars? Browns win 27-25. We pull this one off to go to 8-3 now in the year. Not bad there. Baker threw for 258, 2 touchdowns. He's been solid enough. He obviously he's not I don't think he's a great quarterback, but he's been good enough, and he's getting them to win. So hey, there's that. Nick Chubb, 19 carries, 144 yards and a touchdown. Big week for him. Hunt, 10 for 62.
Along with him and Henry, I feel like obviously no one really stacks up to Henry, but they're similar backs, and I feel like they're coming on at the same time, and their teams are very much designed the same way, which is kind of hilarious without OBJ now, because it truly is. You're a run-first team. You have a very aggressive running back, very physically dominant, and then your quarterback doesn't have to be the playmaker. He just has to be accurate and implement himself when he can after the defense is encroaching a little too much. And finally, Jarvis Landry was on the receiving end of this, which we've been waiting for forever. He has been having a very disappointing year in my mind. And today, 11 targets, 8 catches for 143 yards and a touchdown. The long was only 27. So they were just, he was getting open, but it was not down the field. So it's very interesting to see if he can keep that going. I'm a little hesitant because it's so run heavy. I guess my only question for you is this, I believe this is 2 games in a row now that Kareem Hunt has been, the lesser of 2 options, right?
Yep.
For a long time, he was definitely tandem, or he would get a little more in the passing game. 10 carries for 62 yards, but 2 targets for no catches. Where are you landing on Hunt moving forward?
I think he's still a flex play. I think he's going to get enough work where I don't know how many better options you can have than Kareem Hunt right now. Maybe you do though. It's always possible teams do, but I think Kareem Hunt's still like a flex play for you. And he's good. It's a good enough run offense, and he's good enough where some of these weeks he'll get that touchdown or so, and very easily turns it into a good week. So he's still good flex play. How about so Jacksonville here? Mike Glennon, 235 and 2 touchdowns, not terrible. But the story against James Robinson, he is the only running back that gets carries. I mean, Chenault had 1, so he got a wide receiver that got a carry, and Glennon then 2. No other backs get a carry in this offense. It's unreal. 22 carries, 128 yards, a touchdown. He caught 5 balls for 31. Just keeps doing it. It's just
it does.
The workload's crazy.
He is one of the very few players that I think week in, week out, I don't have a bad thing to say about him, which is mind-blowing.
I mean, I would 100% trade Zeke for James Robinson now, but the James Robinson owner would never do that. But the trades are not happening anymore. But they wouldn't do that deal. Like, God, if I just would have listened to myself and my own advice in this podcast, I probably would be in the playoffs right now. If I would have just gotten, I would be. I'd be in the playoffs right now if I would have got James Robinson. And if Mike McCarthy wasn't a moron, I'll tell you that. that too. But just keeps doing it. The receivers for Jacksonville led by Colin Johnson, the rookie, at 4 for 96 in the touchdown. So not much else there between Cole and Chenault and the rest of them. So next up, Saints, Broncos. Saints win 31-3, very predictably, as the Broncos did not have a quarterback for this one. That was quite ugly on the offensive side. So Taysom Hill gets another start for the Saints. Passing-wise, he didn't do much of anything. 9 of 16, 78 yards, no touchdown, threw a pick, but he ran 2 of them in. And Latavius Murray, 19 for 124 and 2 touchdowns. Big game for Latavius Murray. As Alvin Kamara, here we go. Now the worry sets in. 11 for 54.
Is the panic real? Because we brought this up after one game.
This was
the panic real now?
So what happened? And now I think it is, because 11 for 54. That part is normal. I'm not worried by that. I'm worried that they had 4 rushing touchdowns and none of them go to Kamara. Those 2 touchdowns for Hill, a lot of days one of those goes to Kamara at least, right? Murray's still going to get his, I think, but this was a little more. So they get 4 rushing touchdowns. Alvin Kamara doesn't get any of them. But the big key is 1 catch for -2 yards. Now I'm officially worried because the receptions are not there. And Taysom Hill, it just like screams Tim Tebow to me. That's what this is. It's Tim Tebow. It's 100% what he is.
Even with that, I can understand how it would kill everyone else's value.
Yeah.
I'm still shocked that you only target Alvin Kamara out of the backfield twice when you have a guy that probably is not making the reads and probably not throwing it down the field as well as other NFL quarterbacks. That would be to expected. But not to dump it off to Alvin Kamara, which is the easiest thing to do to get free yards. That is what it completely shocking to me. And I mean, Taysom Hill, even though he ran into and they got the big win. Once again, they did against Denver, who was without a quarterback. They had their own problems today, right? We knew that they didn't have to make a big one. He didn't play all that well, in my opinion. I mean, he turned the ball over a couple of times. He turns them into a very one-dimensional team. Is this a place where you could see Jameis Winston come in, or do you think that's not going to be?
No, I think they're going to keep going because I don't know. Maybe this game isn't the judge of it because the Broncos just weren't going to do anything. And so they didn't have to. But I think this is what they want. Taysom Hill's going to be their guy. And it's weird, but they're going to do it this way. But I'm worried for Kamara, and I'm worried for Michael Thomas, too, even. Michael Thomas, 450. If they can.
Let's be honest. I think we were worried for him for a while.
Well, if they can run the ball 44 times, that's what they're going to win like this, they're just going to do that. So I guess you just need Drew Brees to be healthy. That's what you need. But it's not going to happen in time, probably. So
yeah,
So for the Broncos, nothing about this game you can't get anything off this. Kendall Hinton, who was a practice squad wide receiver who played some quarterback in college, gets to play quarterback this game, and he goes 1 for 9 for 13 yards and 2 picks.
That's a brutal stat.
I mean,
line.
they play.
I feel for the guy. There's no reason that he should have been under that kind of pressure.
They had Phillip Lindsay taking snaps. They had Royce Freeman taking snaps. It just, you can't get anything off of this thing.
No. You know they're going to run it. I mean, no one's going to be able to run against this. They can't. They were set up to fail. I mean, this one is just unfortunate. It's kind of a free win for the Saints.
Our 49ers beat the Rams 23-20. Nick Mullins threw for 252, no touchdowns and a pick, so not much going there. Raheem Mostert came back in this one, but it was 16 carries for 43, did get a touchdown. Jeff Wilson Jr., 12 carries, 43 yards. And McKinnon had 3 carries. So here comes the backfield of everybody's there again, and you don't really know what's going to happen. I think Mostert's still the guy, but it's not quite the same, though, right? This running attack isn't quite the same as what we had at one point. So
no, it's not the same, but I do feel pretty confident that Mostert will be the guy. So I feel confident in playing him if you do have him. I don't think that there's any doubt in that. And he got the touchdown. If you have Mostert, you play him. I think every other running back, it's not a situation where you can really play them. No. I wouldn't mess around with that at all. Devo Samuel, very interesting day for him. How are you feeling about him? He's a very exciting young player that we had a lot of hopes for, and then obviously all the injuries occurred on this team with the quarterback and him. But he had 11, catches for 133 yards. What are you feeling about him? 13 targets, eclipsed everyone else, right? The next highest was Jordan Reed at 6 targets. So, how are you feeling about Devo? Big time talent in a very hurt team. What do you think about playing him?
I think he's by far their best receiver. So I feel pretty good about him. Actually, Nick Mullins was looking for him. I feel pretty confident in how he can play. And the Rams are a good team to go against and do that. So, I'm going to throw Samuel in my lineup. I feel pretty confident in that one.
I agree. No matter who was behind center, it always felt like their number one wide receiver. They found a way to give him the ball. It's the same thing with Brennan Ayuk, right? So he was in there. He was very productive. He was a rookie. He played with, the second string quarterback. So I especially if he's out again, I think Devo would be a legitimate start.
For the Rams, Goff did not have much going in this one. 198 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. Robert Woods caught 7 for 80, caught 2 for 41. Not really anything else there. For the running game, Akers leads the way with 84 yards, but most of it off a 61-yarder. And then he got a touchdown right after that. Henderson, 10 of 19, and Malcolm Brown, pretty much non-existent, 3 for 4. Maybe, if anything, maybe they'll look at Akers a little more next week. That maybe that's the only thing we get out of this. But it doesn't feel like they're going that way. But maybe.
Okay, I'll agree with you, but I don't think. I think it's very late in the year to hop back on the Cam Akers train.
We'll see. All right, Chiefs beat the Buccaneers 27-24. Bucs came back in this one and made it interesting because early on it was Mahomes to Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill had over 200 yards in the first quarter, which was insane. So he ended up with 13 catches for 269 yards and 3 touchdowns. It could have been more, honestly. It was early on he did that. Mahomes, 37 for 49 for 462 and 3 touchdowns. But Tyreek Hill, man, they could not defend him at all. And that was a ridiculous game there. Kelsey is 8 for 82. The ground game didn't really get much going. 11 for 37 for Edwards-Helaire, and Bell, 5 carries, 22 yards. But it was Mahomes to Hill. I kind of was hoping for more, honestly. After there was 200 yards in the first quarter, I was thinking, man, we're going to get 300, 400? That would have been nice.
There's no reason not to think that. Talk about, especially in a game where it only ended up 27-24.
Right? They could have kept going.
Yeah, they very well could have. So if he would have ended up with 304 touchdowns, I wouldn't have been shocked after that first quarter. But yeah, that was beyond impressive. I don't. Every time these guys really turn it on, you're always kind of like, who in the world can run with these guys? Who is going to be able to beat them? They're 10-1. This game was closer than it probably should have been, but I don't know. Did you feel better that Tampa Bay hung in there after that first quarter?
Oh, little bit for Tampa. At least the offense was able to come back and not just fall apart like they did against the Saints, where they just packed it in and nothing could happen. I mean, they're 7-5 now, but they'll be a playoff team, obviously, in the NFC. And I think they should be. I mean, NFC, not really that worried. I mean, they could be one of the top teams there. The teams aren't just that impressive to me in the NFC right now. It's the AFC that has the Steelers and the Chiefs that are a little, a lot tougher. So yeah. I think the Bucs have a good shot yet to go here. And Brady, he looks pretty decent yet, I'd say. He's still a couple picks though I don't like, but
yeah. I think he hasn't been as precise as he was, in New England, but I think that's to be expected. But now's the time. I feel like we have to play this every week. But this is the carousel of amazing talent that he has. Who do you actually feel is a guaranteed starter and who is not? Because Rob Gronkowski, once again, had a good game. 6 catches for 160 yards. Yep. Chris Godwin, 8 for 97. Mike Evans, only 3 for 50, but had 2 touchdowns. Ronald Jones caught a touchdown. That doesn't really matter. Just wanted to tell you. And then Antonio Brown, the other very talented wide receiver, only 2 for 11 with 3 targets. What are you feeling about that? Who can you start? Would you start them all and just say, sort it out?
So, I mean, Gronk, if you have Gronk, you're starting Gronk. He's come on a little bit here, but at tight end, you're starting Gronk. I still feel most confident. I feel safest in Godwin. I have felt that way. And I just feel like Godwin's still going to get his. And maybe the touchdowns won't be there as much, but I think he's going to be safer. Evans is just going to be this. He's going to get a good game, but it's going to be because of touchdowns. So I think you still play Evans, though, too. You play Evans. Brown, I think I put Brown on my bench. But Evans, I'm playing Evans and Godwin and Gronk. I'm playing all 3 of those guys. And just hoping for the best with Evans. But I'm playing all 3 of them. So how about one last game? We'll talk about Bears-Packers here. Bears-Packers. Packers win 41-25. Aaron Rodgers continues to look great this year. 21 for 29, 211, 4 touchdowns. Threw him to 4 different receivers. Robert Tanyan, whatever you want to call him, 5 for 67, a touchdown. Devontae Adams, 6 for 61, a touchdown. Alan Lazard caught a touchdown, and Mercedes Lewis caught a touchdown. So he's spreading the ball around there. And then Aaron Jones, 17 carries, 90 yards. Jamal Williams, 17 carries, 73 yards, a touchdown. That's more of the old school Jones and Williams thing from a couple years ago, right? A little bit of a split there. But Packers are rolling to 8-3 now.
Yeah, looking great. And I felt like this game got out of hand. And it looks a little closer than what it started off to be, because Aaron Rodgers started off incredibly hot. Mitchell Trubisky looked really, really bad in the beginning, and then he kind of saved it. So he did end up with 242 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. I feel like he kind of came on at the end, with Allen Robinson being the biggest contributor to that. 8 catches, 74 yards, and 2 touchdowns. David Montgomery had himself a game, though. He looked good. I mean, 11 carries for 103 yards. 1 carry was for 57. Did not get a touchdown, but he also was in the passing game. 5 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown. So other than that, there's not a whole lot to be said, but in the second half, those are the guys that came to play, and they made it a little bit closer, 25-41. But this one was done pretty quickly, to be quite honest, because Chicago had to put 15 points on the board in the 4th.
Trubisky had a chance to win his job back, but that's not going to happen. This game wasn't good enough for that, so it'll be Robbie Foles again. So all right, that'll do it though for the Week 12 recap. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have the mailbag for you, so if you have some questions as we head into the final week of the fantasy football regular season, get those in to us. Go to Instagram.com/fantasyfootballprofit. That's probably the best place to get them in. We'll try to help you out as you try to get a playoff spot here with only 1 week to go. Talk to you guys next time.